My dear students, I am here to talk about few things pertaining to your environmental science paper, that is a non-core compulsory paper for BSc first year students. First of all, let me welcome all my student community to listen to this recorded video lecture of mine. I am Dr. MEERA B K, Professor of Zoology, working in Maharani Cluster University, and will be handling few topics of environmental science paper for you. So first of all, I want to tell you what are all the topics I am going to handle from the prescribed syllabus of Maharani Cluster University regarding this paper. There is a chapter pertaining to biodiversity and conservation. In that, I'll be handling three topics. One is levels of biological diversity. I'll be telling you what is diversity, biodiversity, and then I'll be telling you about different levels of biodiversity like genetic biodiversity, species biodiversity, and ecosystem diversity. Then I'll be talking to you about biogeographic zones of India. There are around 10 zones. I'll be telling you what is biogeography and what are the 10 zones that have been identified in India, right? Then I'll be teaching you about biodiversity patterns and global biodiversity hotspots. These are all the things what I am going to teach you. And this your paper, will have an assessment examination, end semester examination with the duration of 1.5 hours for a total of 30 marks. And there will be two mains in the question paper. First main, you will have to answer any 5 questions out of 8, and each question carries 2 marks, so 2 into 5, 10 marks. And the second main also will carry 8 questions, out of which you have to answer 4 questions which carry 5 marks each, so 5 into 4, 20. Both 20 plus 10 put together comes to around 30 marks, right? So this is the general question paper pattern, and I suppose this has been posted in your WhatsApp group and has been discussed in your physical contact classes also, right? This is my quota, and I have given the study material, the syllabus what I am going to teach, and also the question bank, all possible 2 mark questions from these topics, all possible 4 marks question, 5 marks questions from these topics. All this has been already supplied to you through WhatsApp group. And please note that these recorded video lectures are only supplementary, okay, supplementary aids for your learning. Few online classes through Google Meet will also be taken to discuss this, and physical contact, offline classes will also be done, and those who miss offline classes and also online classes, they can always download these recorded video lectures or go to YouTube and find out through the links and study. So as a supplementary element, these recorded video lectures will be provided to you, okay? And all the study material I have taken from the textbook Perspective in Environmental Studies, written by Anubha Kaushik and C.P. Kaushik, okay? This book is specially meant for EVS studies, published by New Age International Publishers Limited, okay? with this brief, a sort of introductory interaction. Now, I want to introduce you few topics what I am going to teach now. See, biodiversity means what? If we divide the whole Earth's mass into 10 billion parts, we can make out that the life exists only around 1 kilometer of a thick layer of soil, water and air out of this 10 billion parts, and around 50 million species are present. Okay? And study of these, variety and variability among different groups of living organisms and also in an ecosystem complexes constitutes what is known as biodiversity. ಜೀವಿ ವೈವಿಧ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಅಥವಾ ಜೀವ ವೈವಿಧ್ಯತೆ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓವರಾಲ್ ಗ್ಲೋಬ್ ಮೇಲೆ what all different species of animals, plants that we have recorded and we have studied, all that put together forms a sort of biodiversity studies. Okay? And as usual, very favorite question of paper setters, you can be asked 2 marks. Define biodiversity. Biodiversity refers to the variety and variability among all groups of living organisms and the ecosystem complexes in which they occur. That means it is sum total of all plants, different varieties of plants, different varieties of animals and their variability with all groups of animals and plants, and the ecosystem complexes also where they are found to be present. Okay? The whole study of all this constitutes what is known as biodiversity. So to put it in a nutshell, your answer should be biodiversity refers to the variety and variability among all different groups of living organisms and the ecosystem complexes in which they occur. By now, I think some of the teachers would have taught you about different types of ecosystems. Therefore, I will not touch upon that aspect too much. I'll be discussing about biodiversity. And then in 1992, in the Convention of Biological Diversity, they have defined biodiversity like this. The variability among living organisms from all sources, including inter alia, terrestrial, marine and other aquatic ecosystems and the ecological complexes of which they are a part. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಟ್ಟಾರೆ ಭೂಮಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಟೆರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ ಆ್ಯನಿಮಲ್ಸ್, ಭೂಮಿ ಮೇಲಿರೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜೀವಿಗಳು, ಸಮುದ್ರವಾಸಿಗಳು, ಬೇರೆ ನದಿ ಕೊಳ್ಳ ಹಳ್ಳ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಸ ಮಾಡೋವಂಥ ಜೀವಿಗಳು, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಜೀವಿಗಳು, ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜೀವಿಗಳ ವೇರಿಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಸ್ಟಡಿ that becomes what is known as biodiversity or biological diversity. This is the definition given in 1992. And this biodiversity can be studied at different levels, what we refer to as levels of biodiversity. Levels of biodiversity, okay. You can discuss at different levels, right, ranging from the genetic level within a species, to the biota in a specific region and may extend up to great diversity found in different biomes. Okay. So accordingly, we have 3 levels of biodiversity. One is genetic diversity, another one is species diversity, another one is ecosystem diversity. These are the 3 levels of biodiversity. Okay. So we shall discuss about the genetic diversity. It is the basic source of biodiversity. You know, we all have cells in our body, and in the cells there are nuclei. In the nucleus you find the genomic material, okay, where genes are found, and these genes, which are biochemically speaking segments of DNA, right, they are found in organisms that can form enormous number of combinations, each of which gives rise to some variability. Each combination gives rise to one form. So thus genes are the basic units of heredity, where information is transmitted from one generation to another. When the genes within the same species andre, see for example, we are all human beings, we have a name, Homo sapiens, right? We have genes in our body, around 23,000. So when the genes within the same species, in all of us, ಆ ಜೀನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂಥ ವೇರಿಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ, ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ನ್ಯೂ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್, it is called genetic variability. When the genes within the same species show different versions due to new combinations, it is called genetic variability. All right, I'll repeat. When the genes within the same species show different versions due to new combinations, it is called genetic variability, right? So if we record the variations that we find in the genomes of different Homo sapiens, that becomes genetic variability. To give another example, all rice, akki ant karitivalla, bata, all rice varieties, belong to the species Oryza sativa. Botanical name of rice is Oryza sativa. And but you all know that there are thousands of wild and cultivated varieties of Oryza sativa which show variations at the genetic level, and therefore they differ in their color, size, shape, aroma and nutrient contents of the grain. This is what I exactly meant by genetic diversity of rice. Okay, so this is the concept of genetic diversity. You can expect 2 mark questions from 2 mark question like define genetic diversity. Okay, then we shall talk about the next concept, that is species diversity. This is the next level of biodiversity or another level of biodiversity. This is the variability found within the population of a species or between different species of a community. All right. So what is a species? What is a community? What is an ecosystem? What is a biome? These basic concepts of ecology, I think different teachers would have covered in their respective classes, right, in different chapters. All right. Now I will be teaching you about species diversity. Okay. So the variability found within the population of a species or between different species of a community is known as species diversity. Variations within the genes, is going to be the genetic diversity. At the same time, variability found within the population of a species or between different species of a community refers to the species diversity. Okay, and it represents broadly the species richness and abundance in a community. And there are different ways or different indices, ಸೂಚ್ಯಾಂಕ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಲ್ಲ ಅದು. There are different indices of measuring species diversity, and to date we use 2 basic very popular indices of measuring species diversity, like Shannon-Wiener index and Simpson index. Okay, Shannon-Wiener index and Simpson index These are the two indices that are available to measure the species diversity. There can as well be a 2-mark question like define species diversity. Mention the two indices of measuring species diversity. You should be able to answer all this. Okay. Then the next concept is ecosystem diversity. So by now you must be knowing what is an ecosystem and different types of ecosystem. I will talk about diversity in this ecosystem complex. Alright. So ecosystem diversity refers to the diversity of ecological complexity showing variations in ecological niches, trophic structure, food webs, nutrient cycling, etc. Here there are quite a few different concepts which you may be aware, may not be aware, right? Ecological niches. Ecological niches means place where an animal or a plant lives. That is called niche. Okay. Then trophic structure means we have different trophic levels like consumers, producers, right? Among consumers we have primary consumers, secondary consumers, like that. And then we will derive at a food web and nutrient cycling of abiotic factors like phosphorus, all that, right? So these are all different concepts that you should know. In total, ecosystem diversity refers to the diversity of ecological complexity showing variations in ecological niches, trophic structure, food webs, nutrient cycles, etc., etc. Okay. And this ecosystem show variations with respect to physical matters like moisture, temperature, altitude, precipitation, etc. Right? Therefore, you can expect a tremendous diversity within an ecosystem along the gradients. Okay? And this diversity depends upon the type of ecosystem that is under study. Like in a forest ecosystem, which is supposed to have dominance of trees, right? The diversity will be different. If you happen to study tropical rainforest ecosystem, there the situation may be different. If you study a deciduous forest, it may be a different thing. If you study a marine ecosystem, it may be a different. If you study coniferous forest, situation may be a different. So, studying this comprises what is known as ecosystem diversity. So, define ecosystem diversity means this should be the answer. The ecosystem diversity discusses about the diversity of ecological complexity showing variations in ecological niches, trophic structure, food webs, nutrient cycling, etc., etc. Right? So, till now we have discussed the definition of biodiversity, different versions of the definitions, and then we have discussed about levels of biodiversity, and then we have discussed about genetic diversity, species diversity, and ecosystem diversity, right? And now let us talk about what is known as biogeographical classification of India. That is one more topic what I have to study, what I have to discuss. We should know it's very important to study the distribution, evolution, dispersal and environmental relationship of plants and animals in time and space. This statement may appear a little bit difficult to understand for physical science students. I'll make it simple, At a given time and at a given space, we should study distribution, evolution, dispersion and environmental relationships of plants and animals. Basically, this is the study of biogeography. This biogeography is a big branch of biology comprising of two branches, phytogeography and zoogeography. So, study of distribution of animals forms zoogeography, and study of distribution of plants becomes phytogeography. It deals with these aspects of plants and animals. Okay. So, We have classified in India the entire country into 10 biogeographic zones, okay, that has been tabulated here, and each of these zones has its own characteristic climate, soil, topography and biodiversity. All that is given in the table. This table has biogeographic zone name, biotic province, what is that you find, and total area covered. You may have matched the following type of questions on this, or you can say define biogeography for 2 marks, or you can just mention any 4 biogeographic zones of India. Like this, these are all the probable questions that you may get in this topic. Okay. This entire division has been, biogeographic habitat division has been taken from Conserving Our Biological Wealth, WWF for Nature, India and Zoological Survey of India, ZSI. Okay. This is the source. So according to this, there are 10 biogeographic zones: Trans-Himalayan, Himalayan, Desert, Semi-Arid, Western Ghats, Deccan Peninsula, Gangetic Plain, Northeast India, islands and coasts. In each of these biogeographic zone, what is the biotic province that I have, that the table tells you. For example, in Himalayas we have Northwest Himalayas, Western Himalayas, Central Himalayas and East Himalayas. Like this, in each of these 10 zones, we have given biotic province. And the total area covered in each biotic province in square kilometers, that is also given, right? So you have to study all this under biogeographical classification of India. Okay. So these are all the topics which I wanted to discuss in this recorded video lecture. Same thing will be repeated in online class as well as physical classes, offline class when you come for it. Shortly I will announce the schedule of my physical classes and give the link for online class also. Till then, stay blessed, my dear students. Thanks for your patient hearing. Thank you.